ways that we at Magmic recently are exploring, and we're kind of like capitalizing on this. So it is using brand engagement, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So who's Magmic? We're a mobile publisher and developer based out of Ottawa, Canada, the nation's capital. And we work primarily with branded card and board games. So Blockers, we work with Mattel, Rubik's, and Hasbro, and that's kind of gist of like what we do. So for us as a company, when we're developing these games, obviously we've been working in the freemium model. We really operate based, we really want to engage our users. And so what we plan to do is we build our games from the ground up with the idea of engaging our users. So everything in our game is dynamic. We use, and advertisers these days, we work a lot with the advertisers. What we're finding with them is that the more engaging the experience is, the more they're actually willing to pay. So advertisers now, they used to start with banner ads back in the day. I don't know if you guys all remember, iAd was all the rage, and now you're starting to see a lot of interstitial ads. So these full screen images that come up. And lately, we've been seeing a lot more video ads and playable ads. These ads, the cost per view actually increases as you go along. And what we're really seeing here is that advertisers are really favoring these engaging kind of advertising experiences. So we at Magmic use a lot of interstitial and video. We don't use a lot of playable, though there is a lot of companies out there that are actually like pushing this advertising model. So what we thought was, wouldn't it be cool if we can actually make our game itself a bit of a playable ad? And this is what actually we did, and this is what I want to share with you. So we built our games here with the ability to create these completely immersive experiences. Everything in the game is dynamic. All of our balancing can be changed server-side. A lot of our iconography and imagery in the game can be changed server-side, background images, whatnot. We really build these games in that way because we run a lot of events. So we think of these games as, it's like a shopping mall kind of way. So, you go into a shopping mall on weekends, they could be doing events, and you're just trying to get some people in. We're doing right now actually one of our games categories. It's Canada Day this weekend on Friday. So we're doing a whole Canada Day event, and it's a word game, so all of our word lists are, Canadiana facts and so on and so forth. So we really try to build kind of this immersive experience that really encompasses everything in the game, all the way from the visuals to the content. Keep doing that. We use a number of tools internally. Everything we do built is custom-based. It's custom tools. We have a huge big file, JSON file that we read at the beginning of the game, and that points it to images that that gives it all the balancing values, and we can kind of dynamically change a lot in our game. And it was interesting because actually just a little bit before GDC last year, we were talking to one of our partners, and they actually pitched us on this idea. The idea they actually pitched us, well, since you can actually change a lot of your game, and it is a word game that we're talking about, it's categories, wouldn't it be cool if we actually partnered up with a brand and built a whole experience around this brand in this game? And that is actually what we did. So, and I think it was a very interesting revenue proposition for us, and I really think that it's where a lot of games could be going these days, but where they're not there right now. If you actually think about gaming as being sponsored by a brand, then I think you can actually unlock a whole new revenue stream that previously didn't exist. I'll tell you exactly what we did. So the game we're talking about here is categories. Has anybody here played categories before? So it's a word game. Basically, you're given a list of categories. You have a letter to choose from, so let's say it's the letter B. Everybody goes around trying to guess, starting with the letter B, a word that fits in that category, and whoever has the most answers basically wins. So this is recently licensed this game from Hasbro. It's kind of fun game to play, it's pretty dynamic, asynchronous multiplayer. So basically what we did with this game here is we took it to an agency that works with Universal Studios, and we proposed them. There was a movie that they recently released, was My Big Factory Quitting 2. Anybody seen that movie? So we actually did a whole campaign with them around My Big Factory 22 with categories. And so we took our usual categories game, you can see here on the left, and we completely branded it towards the My Big Factory Quitting movie. So we had like a branded splash screen, we had themed tournaments and events, we changed the iconography in the game, we had custom, win screens and lose screens. And so we really also created a lot of content around the actual movie. So we ran 4 tournaments. Here you can see 2 of them, Paris, All Grown Up, and Tula, Ian, and Romance. But really, and what happened was they basically sponsored the game for 2 weeks. All of these tournaments that were branded towards the brand were free to play, so anybody could just play for free. So you didn't have to pay coins to play, and you actually won some stuff. You actually also won a whole bunch of custom iconography. So this is, for example, one of the tournaments that we ran, which is called Big Fat Wedding Fever Tournament. We ran certain categories like wedding ring gemstones, bands, wedding flowers, etc., etc. It was actually 16 categories. And in the tournament, if you came first or third, you actually got a custom avatar frame. So you got some nice vanity items that persist in the game forever. So the brand, not only are you playing their branded game, but also you receive some items that relate to this brand that they use and that keeps forever. And we give them coins and items. We really found that users, they really, really liked this. So we weren't just selling impressions. This is the thing that we were trying to sell them. We told them we're selling deep brand engagement. And I really think that this it was such a successful campaign, and they're really happy that we really are actually pursuing a lot more of these. So just to give you an idea of how it changed, the average session per day we have in the game is 1.9, just kind of average. But you were seeing up to 6 sessions per day usually on the tournament. Our average play time per tournament was 6, and then for the most popular one, which was the Big Fat Greek Wedding, it was 16.3 times that an average person played the tournament. So we set up 2 per week, and it was a 2-week campaign that we ran. And you can even see the average play times here, but the Big Fat Wedding Fever average play time per user was 33 minutes, which is a really, really long time to play on a mobile device. And really good numbers here to share with the brand. But all of this is to say that making the game free, getting a brand in to be able to sponsor your game, and creating kind of experience around that brand that engages the user with the brand really gives a compelling business case for some of these brands to advertise or push these games. Of course, it was an impression kind of based deal, so they were looking for 12 million impressions. We were able to deliver 16.5 million impressions. This is, views, including also video views and trailer views, because the trailer was embedded in the game and you can watch it. Of course, there's Facebook Open Graph stories, so you had a lot of social reach and a lot of social awareness that came out of this campaign just from simply playing the game and from the amount of the volume of games actually played, including, of course, some announcements, etc. that we did. So really, I want to give the 3 takeaways to give people here is that advertisers are looking for engaging experiences. If you can sell them an engaging experience, I think they'll definitely be on board. You can build your game with the ability to capitalize on that. Then that's something that really you can capitalize, you can make some money from. And I think brands right now are moving into this field. Mobile gaming and mobile gaming advertising, especially for brands, is still relatively new. I think there's still a lot of them are feeling it out. They're not really sure what works. They're not really sure exactly where to put their money. Playable ads, a lot of them are going to that. A lot of them do advertise, but it's still kind of new for them. I think if you're able to convince, they are actually willing to sponsor and pay a lot of money to sponsor your games if you can create a compelling experience, like we did for categories. So that's really the takeaways and that's the presentation that I wanted to give. But I do think that there's this whole new revenue stream that is you are able to unlock if you can capitalize on it. And I did want to share our experience with that with you today. Does anybody have any questions?
Just before we get to the questions, if you just hold your hand up like you did, we'll get a microphone over to you. So yeah, it's just one at the front here.
Yeah, you're really the front, so I can hear you.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Well, the question is just, what's the scale versus your revenues that this costs?
level, so I mean you are talking six figures, so over $100,000 was the campaign compared to what you usually make in advertising, or at least for this kind of small, medium range kind of game. It was considerably more than what we would make if we hadn't done the sponsorship. Plus, because the game is dynamic, we're able to update a lot of these assets on the fly just by dumping some files in the server. It really doesn't cost a lot because programmers aren't involved. We just make all of the assets, and game designers create some tournaments, and then it all goes live in the game. Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you. I guess you guys discovered that there would be some overlap in the demographic between your game and this brand, and I just wondering how you went about figuring that out, as well as how you set up the conversation with the brand.
So we know our demographic very well through analytics, through Facebook, there's a lot of Facebook logins, so we can kind of grasp who our demographic is. And so when we're actually pitching this to the agency, that was part of the conversation, and they did actually choose a movie that fit the demographic. But not only that, we do license these brands from other companies such as Hasbro, which is this one. So they're also very sensitive to the kind of stuff that you can actually put into the game. So it's a two-way conversation between then the brands coming to you because you fit in the demographic, and then us pitching Hasbro on the brand because that fits their demographic. Yes.
Did you find that the revenue was only additive, or was there any downside or trade-off with doing this?
So the revenue was additive. There was a downside and trade-off because we did make it free, so it was basically sponsored. You see on the other monetizing features in the game obviously dropped, but an interesting thing is that it did actually increase our tail end retention, our longer term retention, because it was free, so people did play a lot, and I think that just got people into the game as well. And plus, we did a whole advertising campaign with it when that kind of launched, so there was a lot of users, and we did benefit from that after the campaign as well. Of course, it's a delicate balance between how much you make already and how much they're willing to pay, but definitely for small, medium-sized publishers, this is a very viable option. And definitely a revenue stream that's still waiting to be tapped. Any other questions? Over there, in the back.
Hi. When working with brands and sponsored content, do they have a say at all in the user experience, or can you guys pretty much make the game how you want it and just integrate their campaign? For example, can they request to not have any premium content within the game, or do you guys have full control over the user experience?
We have full control of the user experience. The limit of the approvals is usually around branding, so a lot of asset approvals, the iconography looks right, the categories of the words, like the word lists, that was the extent of their approvals. Yeah. But around all the other stuff and how we balanced it and what we rewarded, that was us completely, because we need to make sure that we don't flood our economies. Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.